Okay guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be testing the test rides. We're going to start with the Italy GTO. I previously did an attempt to this and it didn't work, so we're going to try again. This video was meant to come out yesterday, so we're just going to release it today. So yeah, anyway, let's begin the test. Okay, yes, I would recommend this car. I know that was a bit loud, but yes, I would recommend this car. It looks good, sounds good, it's pretty amazing. I like the look of the car, it takes corners pretty well. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the next car is the Ennis Remus. Let's take this thing out for a spin, see how well it performs. Let's go. Okay, so I'll be very honest, I wasn't expecting this car to actually perform pretty well. I was thinking this car would not be worth it, but this car does perform pretty well. It takes corners excellently, it sounds alright. It's probably not my favourite sounding car out of a whole bunch, but I still like the look of it, and I like the way it performs around corners, so I probably would recommend this car, but don't feel you have the need to buy it, okay? So if you want it, I suggest buy it, but if you don't, then don't. Okay, now we have the OB Tailgater S. Let's take this thing for a ride and see how it performs. I got high hopes for this car, so let's take this thing for a spin. Okay, so I could basically say I would absolutely recommend this car. I had no problems driving this car. It was really good. I probably could recommend it also because I think when you upgrade it, it could look really, really nice. But it's just my opinion. I think it takes corners well. I would recommend it, but it's up to you guys if you want it. Some people have these things about cars that they just don't like. Like me, for example, I don't like the Grotte Furia. I don't like the Grotte Furia. I don't know what it is, but I just don't like the Grotte Furia. But if you guys like this car, I would recommend it. If you don't, then just leave it, I guess. Let's move on to some Eon's Play. Okay, so I have a couple things I want to get out of the way first. Alright, so the first thing is, this is the podium vehicle for this week. It doesn't look exactly like this. I upgraded mine, so it's kind of a blue car with a black line on the car as well. So that's sort of what the car looks like. It's not got these upgrades, by the way, but I'm just saying, this is the podium vehicle, the Pariah, but it looks a bit different. Well, a lot different. Anyway, I figured let's test ride this one in here while I got the thought in my head. I also want to know down in the comments, if there's new vehicles added into GTA Online, do you guys want me to test drive those as well, just in case you need a second opinion or something like that. I don't know. It's an idea, but it's not a majorly important idea. Anyway. Okay guys, so I could definitely recommend this car. It's a really, really nice performing car. I've heard it's one of the best cars in the game. I don't know if it's quite the best. I think it's like the second best, and the Italia GTO is the third. I don't know what the first one is, but I'm pretty sure this is the second best. But yes, I would recommend it. It performs well. It looks amazing considering I upgraded it, but still, it looks really good. If you guys want to win this week's podium pick, I would highly recommend you do it this week. Yeah, this car's really good. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. Now we're going to Simeon's place. I'm not going to test drive this week's new vehicle. I'll test drive the next one if you guys want me to. I don't know yet, but yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Okay, guys, so this is pretty obvious to name. It's called the Pegassi Zentorno, but we're going to test this thing out. I'm going to show you how much I like this car. This is honestly probably my favorite looking car in the entire game. But yeah, we're going to test this thing out right now. So let's take this thing for a spin. Okay, so I feel like I don't really have to say much about this car. This car performs very well. It takes corners pretty well. It's one of the first cars that people were mostly interested in when GTA was first released, because getting money in that game then was so much harder than it is now. But I think the number one car that was the hardest car to get back in the days was the Adder, and everyone was all about the Adder until it got patched where you could just pick it up from a certain place. But besides that, this car is still one of the best. I really enjoy it. I like the look of it. I think it's good performing. I think you guys should buy it too if you guys want to, but only buy this car if you like the looks. If you don't like the looks, then leave it. If you do, then buy it, because this car is kind of obsolete. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Okay guys, so we've got the Benefactor Sterling GT. I could barely pronounce that, but let's go take it for a spin. Okay, so I'll be very honest. At first, I thought this car was quite ugly. Okay, but when I started driving this thing a lot more, and more, I thought this car actually looked alright. Like the only judgy thing I have to say about this car is the back looks not so good. But when you look at the car as a whole, this car doesn't look that bad. Okay, so how does it perform? It performs pretty well. I quite like the way it performs. Another thing I could say about this car that I don't necessarily like is the name of a car because it was too hard to pronounce. But anyway, would I recommend this car? Maybe. Like depending what you like on a car, mainly because of the looks, I'd probably recommend this thing. But this car is probably something I probably would not buy unless other people probably had this car as well. Taking a look at their cars and stuff like that, I probably wouldn't buy this car unless other people had it so I could get a better look at it and see what it looks like when it's upgraded. Anyway, guys, let's move on to the next one. I believe the rest are just muscle cars, but we'll go test them out. Got the D-Class of Vemos here. Personally, muscle cars aren't really my favorite to drive, but I'll test this one out and I'll give it an honest opinion. Same thing with the other two muscle cars. There's still two muscle cars to go, but yeah. I'll give this thing a test. So let's test this thing out now. Okay guys, so like I said before, I don't really like testing muscle cars all that much, but I think we should just test one more thing real quick. Well, at least it can perform a wheelie, but I still don't really recommend this car. And it's not just because I don't like muscle cars, really. There's also some more reasons behind this. First of all, the way it performs, it kind of felt a little heavy to drive. Like, kind of like the Vigilante, but this car kind of felt a little bit heavy to drive. But the good thing about it is that it can pull a wheelie, but I don't think this car really is recommended. I wouldn't recommend this car. I think this car looks kind of ugly, in my opinion. I don't really like the look of it, and yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. I don't want to spend much time on these muscle cars, so let's move on to the next one. This is the Seistin Devastin. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I gave it my best shot. Anyway, this is another muscle car. As you all know, I don't really like driving muscle cars, so let's just get straight into the test drive. Okay, so to be very honest, like I said, I don't really like muscle cars that much, like I said, but out of all the muscle cars that are actually at Simeon's place this week, I'd say this one's probably one of the better ones. But yeah, I still wouldn't say recommend it. Don't get it. But if you guys like muscle cars, maybe test drive this thing yourself, because I honestly don't like it. I would say no, but if you guys like testing muscle cars, then I'd say go for it. I guess I could say a couple good things about this car. I like the front and back of the car. Mainly the back, because when you look at a car, you're mostly going to be looking at the back. You're not going to be looking at the front hardly ever. I think this performs a bit better than the other one we just tested. So there's a good plus there. But still, I wouldn't recommend it, because I wouldn't really want to buy a muscle car. So I guess we'll move on to the next one since we're running out of time. So let's move on to the Impaler, which is an Arena War vehicle. Alright, let's get over there right now. Okay guys, so we're doing the D-Class Impaler now. So we can choose from the Apocalypse, the Future Shock, and the Nightmare variant. Now this car could be a great starter vehicle if you guys want to do Arena War. Honestly, my favorite one would have to be the Future Shock. Out of all of them, on any car, Future Shock is probably my favorite looking one. Anyway, let's test this car out and see how it performs. Okay, so could I recommend this car? Yes. This car can actually perform pretty well. I would recommend it, and I also like the look of it. Out of all the muscle cars, this is probably one of my favorites. Like I said, I don't really like that many muscle cars, but this one I'll make an exception for. Only because it can be turned into an Arena War vehicle, and I really like Arena War. But yeah, I would recommend it. It looks good, it performs good, it takes corners good. So let's move on to what I would recommend and what I would not recommend. Let's start at the LS Kami. So I would recommend this week here that you should either get the Pariah, which is a Podia vehicle. You can get that from the Podia vehicle. Okay, exclamation on the Podia vehicle. We've got the. I would also recommend you could get the Italia GTO. That's another car, but just remember you don't have to buy all of them. Just buy what you want. And the other car I would recommend is the Obi Tailgater S. This one, I feel like you could give it a miss, but if you like the way I drove it when we were driving it before, then maybe recommend it. Other than that, I honestly would just recommend the two corner cars. Let's move on to Simeon's place, and I will show you what I recommend there. Okay, so any cars here that I could recommend? Yes, I could recommend three here. The Zentorno, the Impaler, which is this green one here, and this car right here, the Benefactor Sherling GT. Anyway, that's all I could recommend for the LS Kami and this one. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, comment if you're going to buy any of these cars down in the comments. I'm very interested to hear from you guys. God, I sound like Mr. Boss for the trash. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.